Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. And let me offer you a very warm welcome here to the University of Strathclyde, to the Barony Hall, our graduation hall. It's also one of the jewels in our crown, as it were, in the estate of the university. We do many things in here. Most importantly, graduate these fantastic graduands that sit before us in the hall, and they are arrayed behind us on the stage as well. But we do many things. We have conferences in here. We have major events. Some of the students may remember we occasionally have examinations in here, so you might not have the fondest of memories of this hall, but we're about to put that to rights as we celebrate your fantastic achievements. And to the family in particular, families, friends, supporters, it's great to have you here. In many ways, it's the end of a journey of education and the start of a new journey into the next part of our graduates' careers. This is a fantastic day for us to celebrate. Now, when you come across the stage today, graduates, I will cap you, and that will confer the degree towards you. I stand before a bit of furniture that's rather old. I've knelt on this 3 times for my bachelor's, master's and PhD. That's when we knelt before the Chancellor or knelt before the Vice-Chancellor. But we're a bit more egalitarian now, so we get to look you, or I'll try to look you straight in the eye if I go into my tiptoes. But you'll come across, we'll cap you, you'll have had your hood, and then you'll get your parchment as you go across, so do enjoy yourself. And to those that are here in the hall, please don't feel this is a sombre occasion. You're here to enjoy yourselves and to create some memories. So as well as applauding those that come across the stage, please let them know you're here within reason. Because we want everyone to feel welcome. And Strathclyde tends to do the formal rather informally. That's part of who we are. So it's wonderful to have you here. And any one of these occasions is a wonderful occasion. And occasionally we have an extra element to the ceremony. And one of those days is today, where we are going to honour and respect and tell a little bit about the outstanding achievements of our honorary graduate today. And that is Lord Browne of Madingley. John Browne, who is here with us, about whom you'll hear a little bit more, and entirely fitting that John joins us for the mechanical engineering graduation, as you will hear a little bit more shortly. So with that, I will declare this congregation open, and we will go through the ceremony, after which point I will give you some updates on the university. But I'll now invite Professor Scott McGregor, our Vice Principal, to introduce our honorary graduate, and let's start the process by welcoming all our guests today. Thank you very much.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, it is my privilege and honour to present to you the Right Honourable Lord Browne of Mangley. Lord Browne is a visionary leader of international stature, whose pioneering contributions to engineering, energy, investing in climate change and society, covering a career spanning more than 50 years, continue to resonate today. Lord Browne holds a Master's of Arts degree in Natural Sciences from St John's College, University of Cambridge, and a Master of Science degree in Business from Stanford University. He is a Fellow of the Royal Society, a Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering, and an honorary member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. He is perhaps best known for his transformative leadership as the Chief Executive Officer of BP between 1995 and 2007, a period that has been described as a golden era of innovation, expansion and diversification. During this time, he played a defining role in reshaping the oil and gas industry's response to the growing challenge of climate change, boldly initiated investments in renewable technologies and alternative energy sources. In doing so, he set a new precedent for corporate responsibility and environmental stewardship at the highest level. This earned him the enduring moniker of the Sun King for his ambition and enlightened approach. After retiring from BP, Lord Browne became co-head of Riverstone, a £3.4 billion renewable energy private equity fund, the largest of its kind at that time. He went on to serve as the executive chairman of L1 Energy, where he led the most significant energy sector merger in over a decade to create Europe's largest independent oil and gas company. He is currently chairman and co-founder of Beyond Net Zero, a private equity initiated to global acceleration of green energy solutions, a role that underscores his continued commitment to and leadership in the energy transition. In this capacity, he is not only investing in the future, but also encouraging and enabling others to come alongside him. Ward Brown's influence extends well beyond the energy sector. Ward Brown is a former president of the prestigious Royal Academy of Engineering, which is the United Kingdom's National Academy for Engineering. He has held several senior roles in the arts and education and public services, from chairing the Francis Crick Institute, one of Europe's largest biomedical research facilities, to the Courtauld Institute of Art at the University of London. On behalf of the UK Government, he led an independent review of higher education funding and student finance in England, including university tuition fees and governance reform. He is currently the independent co-chair of the Prime Minister's Council for Science and Technology, a body on which the University of Strathclyde is proudly represented. He serves as chairman of Avathon, an artificial intelligence company, and of Carbon Place, a global carbon credit transaction network. His previous roles include positions at Goldman Sachs, Intel, SmithKline Beecham, and Daimler Chrysler. He currently serves on the board of Intera, a Beyond Net Zero portfolio company, and he is an honorary member of the advisory board of Tsinghua University's School of Economics and Management in Beijing, China. He is Emeritus Chair of the Advisory Council of Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, as well as a past chairman of the Tate Board of Trustees and the Donmar Warehouse, a not-for-profit theatre based in Covent Garden. He is a trustee of the Royal Opera House and is also an author of 5 books covering business. His philanthropic leadership is demonstrated through the John Brown Charitable Trust, which has, for over 20 years, created lasting opportunities for young people from underrepresented and challenging backgrounds. Ward Brown's career exemplifies the interdisciplinary excellence and public-spirited ambition which resonates strongly with Strathclyde University's academic mission and sense of purpose. His values align closely with our commitment to applying knowledge for the benefit of society, and his ongoing work in climate-conscious innovation makes him an outstanding ambassador for our university's leadership in the energy transition and low-carbon technologies. Principal, in recognition of his exceptional contributions to engineering, energy, public service and society, I present to you, with the authority of Senate, the Right Honourable Ward Brown of Madingley for the award of Doctor of Science honoris causa.
Lord Brown, it's with great pleasure that we welcome you to the Strathclyde family. We are privileged to have you associated with this institution. So it's my great pleasure to create you Doctor of Science honoris causa. Many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
John?
Vice-Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, you do me a very great honour by bestowing this degree on me, and I'm most grateful to you all. Strathclyde is a university I have very long admired. It must be cherished and should be imitated by those who wish to succeed. Today I want to talk about something more serious, if I may, than I would normally do in such occasions, but because I'm very concerned about the state of our universities as a whole. Each university is different, and of course, Scotland is even more different because it manages its educational sector quite separately. But from my experience, there are plenty of common challenges which affect all universities. Universities have been great engines of growth for their surrounding communities. They are one of our great strengths, but I fear sometimes they're being neglected. This neglect is both regrettable and revealing. It shows perhaps that policymakers misunderstand the crucial role universities play in developing the skills and ideas that drive economic growth and deliver government's key missions. You will all be part of that. Universities are the seedbeds of innovation, spinning out new companies from scientific breakthroughs. They add over £70 billion each year to our economy, and in many towns and cities, universities are in the top 2 or 3 employers. I led the 2009 Brown Review, which set out a new system for funding higher education, a system designed to deliver participation, quality, and sustainability. The key word here is system. Regrettably, the government of the day treated our recommendations as an a la carte menu, picking and choosing what was politically palatable. The result is a sector straining under the weight of contradictions and instability. Today, the UK, and all of the UK, urgently needs a new settlement with its universities, one that addresses not just financial challenges, which are plenty, but also our university's position and role in society. And I believe this settlement has to have 4 pillars. First, excellence. We can't deliver excellence on the cheap. University income has reduced by 1/3 since 2012. The number of international students has fallen, partly because of Brexit and partly tighter migration rules. As a result, 3/4 of our universities face deficits. Academic pay is uncompetitive internationally, leading to brain drain. Departments are closing and global rankings are slipping. The choice is clear: invest in excellence or let it slide. Second, service. Public opinion about universities is mixed. 80% support them. 80% support them. But only half think degrees provide value. And I'm sure your degrees provide a lot of value. Universities can be characterized as ivory towers or bastions of privilege, and that influences policymakers and contributes to neglect. We need to encourage more diversity and innovation, connecting universities' activities to society's great challenges. For example, climate change, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and defense. Third, values. We must reaffirm the importance of free speech, intellectual freedom, and fact-based analysis. While claims of free speech problem are sometimes overblown, high-profile cases do huge harm to the sector's reputation. And fourth, global contribution. Universities help us play a leading role on the world stage. International students bring networks and friendships that are a source of competitive advantage. We should remember that we have all been shaped by the diversity of international outsiders and challengers of conventional wisdom. These are dangerous times for universities facing financial neglect and reputational challenge. But universities are one of our greatest achievements. They stand for freedom of speech, for dissent, and for solutions to the world's urgent problems. We must not neglect them. A new settlement is needed because we have never needed our universities more. Universities have a purpose and need to be funded to deliver on that purpose. This great university was founded in 1796 based on the legacy of John Anderson, Professor of Public Philosophy, who wrote in his will that he wanted to create a university dedicated to useful learning. And he said, specialized in practical subjects to improve the condition of mankind through science and its practical application. I would, of course, have rewritten that myself by saying through engineering and its practical application, and in particular mechanical engineering through its practical application. But that was, at the time, a fine objective, which over the last 230 years has been fulfilled in so many ways. I believe he would have been very proud if he knew what his legacy had helped to achieve, and I'm sure that he would be particularly proud of today's graduating class. You enter a world of change, but that's exactly what a great education prepares you to handle. I wish you all good fortune. I congratulate you for what you've achieved at this great university. Thank you very much indeed.
Principal and Vice-Chancellor, in the name of the University and by the authority of Senate, I present to you these students. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for Research in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, Ewan Stuart Brough. Andrew England. Mohammed Zaim Farouk. Jihad Mohammed Karar Babika. Hussein Hamad Jadullah Isnin. Fabio Miguel Pereira Morgado. For the degree of Master of Science in Advanced Mechanical Engineering, Mad Ibrahim Mubarak Al-Balushi. Sari Abdullah W. Gah. In Advanced Mechanical Engineering Online Learning, William Alistair Wright Graham. Adnan Sadi Mahmood. In Advanced Mechanical Engineering with Aerospace, Sandeep Shakapur. In Sustainable Engineering, Renewable Energy Systems and the Environment, Hari Shravandaran. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Aeromechanical Engineering, Lewis McMahon Botting. Nicholas Bremner. Kirsten Hazel Calder. Daniel Gillis Campbell. Kenneth C. Ho Shung. Ewan Thomas Cran. Adam Moayed Daraga. Hannah Douglas. Ethan Dyer. Amen Farouk. Callum Stewart Farquhar. Charlotte Elizabeth Firth. Aidan Fitzsimmons. Lewis Forrester. Luis Galasso. Callum Henry. Kyle Charles Holmes. Ben Hudson. Ailey Claire Rose Leach. Rhys McRitchie. Maxwell Ian McClellan. Claire McColgan. Ian Alistair McDonough. Thomas Blair McElraith. Sam Spencer McKeating. Aidan McKechnie. Thomas Mitchell. Callum Donald Robert Murray. Niamh O'Neill. Sammy Rahman. Mohammed Rehan Shaker. Ali Shazad. Michael Shemitsky. Hermes Alexander Saran. Yafet Brehan Tedla. Adrian Tursky. Isram Malubrihan Weldy. Callum Samuel White. Dougal George Williams. Andrew Wilson. Aidan Winning. Craig Yeardley. Sam Richard Young. Hassan Zulfikar. In mechanical engineering, Ross Adam Aiken. Charles Magnus Syverson Anderson. Aidan David Bennis. Daniel Betwin. Callum Callahan. Sarah Jeanette Klingon. Lucas Brian Coufin. Cameron Logie Craig. Youssef Judy. Ryan Matthew Dobbins. Matthew Dormer. Jordan George Dutch. Fraser Jack MacDonald Farmer. Cameron James Fergus Allen. John William Fowley. Max Frew. Angus Gray. Luke Joseph Grayson. Freya Groves. Ben Hamilton. Joseph Andrew Heidinger. Scott Jenkins. Jamie Gardner Kerr. Elliot Ryan Knowles. Joshua Adam McMillan. Ashanti Fozia Magoma. Daniel J. McGowan. Jason Fellows Matthew. Craig Alexander Mackenzie. Jackson McMenemy. Gregor Andrew Morgan. James Morrison. Ewan Peter Maxwell O'Curry. Connor Crawford Palmer. Michael Frixos Panaretu. Felix Timony Renish. Oscar James Murray Reynolds. Ewan Michael Robinson. Ewan Roxburgh. Grace Elizabeth Sherry. Matthew Peter Stevenson. Andrew Tan. Brian Tian. Kieran Fraser Young. In mechanical engineering with aeronautics, Matthew Frank Begg. Simon Michael Bianchet. Robert John Brownlee. Karen Wangeki Kingori. Alex David Moran. Maximilian Orr. In mechanical engineering with financial management, Ejiro Jeanette Joshua Otakoro. In Mechanical Engineering with International Study, Apay Kumar. For the degree of Bachelor of Engineering in Aeromechanical Engineering, Melissa Bingle. Bartosz Glaski. Amy Hudgens. Vivas Karki. James William Malcolm. Alexander Michael Payne. Sean Robertson. Sophie Slaymaker. Rael Emren Taylor Session. Adam Wilson. In Mechanical Engineering, Hulong Chung. James Robert Klink. Maurizio De Gennaro Sorrentino. Darla Marie Dennis. Abiskar Gear. Liam Connor Gibwink. Callum Andrew Barry Gray. Edward Mark Greenwood. Patrick Hendry. Wilfred James Holloway. Toby George Bentley McIntosh. Ali Masood. Kira Rose McColgan. Haris Navid. Sean Nichol. Ben Paul. Natasha Fleur Pell. Ramsey Hunter Saber. Vivek Sutha. Endurance Sunny Obazi. Bernat Sabo. Ewan Taylor Thompson. Jacob Dradlos Valand. Matthew John Webb. For the degree of Postgraduate Diploma in Sustainable Engineering, Renewable Energy Systems and the Environment, Isaac Edward Tyler.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the class of 2025 a big round of applause. So, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and now to our fantastic Strathclyde graduates too, let me reiterate our very warm welcome to this fantastic ceremony, a day that none of you will forget, because it marks the successful conclusions of years of hard work. And now you've graduated in front of your families, your friends, your supporters, and of course, your classmates. Today we welcome visitors from across Scotland, throughout the UK, and of course from a wonderful international community too. We're delighted to see each and every one of you here to join in our celebrations. And as you complete your time here at Strathclyde, please remember that you are graduating from an institution where freedom of thought is valued and encouraged. We're a place that seeks to be tolerant and inclusive, and where people of diverse national, cultural and social backgrounds come together here at Strathclyde to enjoy excellent education and a shared student experience. And here at Strathclyde, we all benefit from having staff and students from over 130 different countries. Ours is a socially progressive community, one that seeks to be an exemplar for society, because we're proud to be plural, multicultural, and, wherever possible, enlightened. It's our responsibility, and graduates in particular, it's your responsibility to continue to challenge unacceptable practices, arguably particularly including those in power, by using reason and by exemplifying the best features of a diverse and inclusive society. The horror of war and conflict that we're witnessing in the world, of course, is unsettling. And it means that all of you should aim to be part of the next generation of more enlightened leadership. The illegal war that's being waged in Ukraine by Russia, the humanitarian disaster that we're witnessing week on week in Gaza, and the danger of escalating hostilities between Israel, Iran, and of course with the involvement of the United States now, means of course that we're facing more risk and uncertainty. However, never underestimate the opportunity you have for personal impact and the democratic influence that you can bring to bear on our policymakers. Nonetheless, and most importantly for today, we're here to acknowledge your hard work, the learning that you've built up, and now the successful completion of your degree courses, because this will be your Strathclyde passport to making a full contribution to your career and to society at large, in spite of the flux and uncertainty that we're currently facing. You'll recall that our wonderful city of Glasgow had the honour and privilege of hosting COP26 just a few short years ago, the summit of world leaders which came together here in Glasgow. The world came to Glasgow, and Glasgow presented itself to the world as they sought to agree measures to minimise global warming and climate change. And during that conference, I had the pleasure of having meetings with Michael Bloomberg and John Kerry, who was the special envoy at that time for the United States for climate change. And the highlight for us was welcoming former US President Barack Obama onto our campus, who came and spent the afternoon with us. Here, of course, I had the pleasure of having time to speak to him, but he came specifically to speak to young people, activists, like all of you should be in your own different ways, about the critical role that your generation will play in tackling climate change and making us have a sustainable society and an inclusive economy. Of course, he came here under the cover of confidentiality, but through the powers of social media, it didn't take too long before people knew that we had a special guest on campus. And after he'd had this round table meeting, and as he left the university, he was on the steps of our learning and teaching building. At that time, several hundred admirers had gathered to say goodbye to him. He turned on the steps before he went into the car and paused and shouted two very important words, and it was, "Get active." And I encourage all of you now, our graduates, is get active. Active in your careers, what you choose to do, your impact in society, and seek to make a difference in your personal lives and your careers. Be bold. Take your courage in both hands. Take this passport of education and the personal experience that you've had here and go out there and apply yourselves. A fellow electrical engineer, Thomas Edison, was quoted as saying genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. I'm sure in all your cases it was much better balanced towards the inspiration. However, I recognise that. I was brought up here in Glasgow, just on the other side of the Clyde, in the shipbuilding part of the town, in a sunny hamlet called Govan. And the town's historical motto is Nihil sine labore, or nothing without hard work. And I embrace that ethos every day, and I would recommend that you take a similar approach. You're smart, you're accomplished, you've got ambition and energy, but very often the thing that makes the difference is that resilience and that constant application of yourselves, and go ahead and do that. Because today you've become Strathclyde alumni, and you're now the latest of the university's torchbearers, just like the many generations that have gone before you. And with all that you've successfully come through now, I'm sure that you'd agree that you could not have done this without the backing, support and encouragement of the community of family and friends that you have around you. And of course, it's fitting that we acknowledge their part in the successful completion of your university studies. Our graduates and the university at large owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. And as the first in my own family to have gone to university, as it happens here, to the Strathclyde Engineering faculty, I do know the value of such support. So, to our graduates and to my colleagues on the stage, let's thank the families and friends here for everything they've done to help today become possible. And on the stage with me here today, we have people from our governance system, our court, our senior staff, our support staff, as well as our special guests. And for our excellent staff and support staff, this is a very important day because ultimately your success is their success. This is what they aim to do, to provide you with a high-quality education and a first-class university experience for all of our students, regardless of background. So, graduates and those in the hall, please join me in giving a sincere thanks to our staff to make all this work come true. Thank you. And as you leave today, and you heard Lord Brown making reference to it, it's important that you take with you the knowledge that we were founded in 1796. We're 229 years old now, although I try to lead this place like a 200-year-old startup with the same sense of purpose, innovation and entrepreneurial spirit as in the time of our establishment. And throughout our history, the University of Strathclyde has remained faithful to our founding principles. And we were established, and I quote in the language of the day, for the benefit of all mankind. And we were the only higher education institution to have been established in Scotland during the time of the Enlightenment. And know that we are the 8th oldest higher education institution in the UK. A real distinction for Strathclyde. And we still try to continue that university strategy, delivering it with the same sense of spirit, purpose, drive and achievement, making it wholly relevant to the 21st century. Our founder, John Anderson, a physicist or natural philosopher, and a pretty good engineer as well, I have to say, had strong links with Benjamin Franklin, that polymath and inventor. Franklin was part of the group that established the University of Pennsylvania in 1751 under the motto of useful knowledge, something we share indeed with the Royal Society of Edinburgh too. But Franklin influenced Anderson. They were correspondents. Anderson accompanied Franklin in Scotland when he visited here. And the idea of the Enlightenment principles of challenge and connection to society, that fueled John's vision of establishing a place of useful learning. And never has that philosophy been so relevant since our establishment back in the Enlightenment times. So please take that with you. Useful learning is made meaningful here. And it still defines our purpose now as what we describe ourselves and are described as a leading international technological university that's socially progressive. And for example, across our campus and the buildings that you'll have passed on your way here to the Barron today, our academics, our researchers and our students are developing drugs to diagnose and fight diseases. For example, we have several drugs in clinical trials in the areas of cancer diagnosis and treatment, kidney disease and infection management, and inflammatory diseases. Strathclyders are producing energy technologies and policy solutions to deal with climate change and to create a low-carbon economy. We're revolutionising global manufacturing. And you heard a lot of that this week when the UK government published their industrial strategy, helping to create what's broadly referred to as the fourth industrial revolution on automation, robotics, the application of AI. Our students, and we're proud of them, continue their work in low-income countries, establishing clean water and power supplies, deploying healthcare systems in remote communities, and introducing new telecommunications infrastructure. Our engineering faculty are working to transfer knowledge and bring prosthetic limb and bioengineering technologies and solutions to those in need. And of course, we also have to work with our politicians who have a tough job, but we have to inform them through data and evidence and challenge in areas such as education, health, energy, innovation, and much more. And our staff in the Technology and Innovation Centre down on George Street, that was a breakthrough project for us 10 years ago, opened by the late Queen, Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. They have focused there in energy, photonics and pharmaceuticals that have triggered a major investment in deep tech and engineering in this country, and indeed centred around Glasgow. I mentioned Thomas Edison already. He called his technical teams in his laboratories inventions factory. The TIC building in the University of Strathclyde has in fact become Scotland's innovations factory, bringing in inward investment, producing the great talent. And the biggest thing we contribute to society is all of you. It's our graduates, with energy, with knowledge, with purpose, and with a sense of obligation to make a difference. And of course, we've further reinforced Strathclyde's credentials by having established Scotland's first innovation district here in the centre of Glasgow, helping to catalyse 1,600 companies here in the centre of Glasgow, working in a whole range of areas. Now, we're working with Scottish Enterprise, Innovate UK, private and public investors, working in areas such as medtech, fintech, quantum technology, AI, advanced communications and space technology. And who knew that outside California, Glasgow has the biggest small satellite manufacturing capability in the world, with about 130 companies around here, many of them driven and led by Strathclyde graduates, not least engineers. And many are investing in us. One of our alumni, Dr. Charles Wang, that you wouldn't have heard of, but you'll have had the benefit of his entrepreneurship. When we had all become amateur bioscientists in our kitchen during COVID, when we were doing our lateral flow tests, we were using Charles' products. He did an MBA and a PhD here, and he saw what we've been doing over the past decade and got on board and donated £50 million here to Strathclyde. And we're using large parts of that to convert the old Student Union building, appropriately so, into our digital and entrepreneurial hub. And out at the airport, our second innovation district, invested in heavily by the UK and Scottish Government and industry, is the Advanced Manufacturing District. As you take off for your holidays from Glasgow Airport, if you look to the north east of the runway, you'll see a large building with a purple serrated roof with another couple of buildings. That's the National Manufacturing Institute for Scotland and the Medicines Manufacturing Innovation Centre, with about £200 million investment, capturing again for Scotland advanced manufacturing that we gave up all too easily 40 or 50 years ago. Strathclyde again, magnetising Scotland for investment based on your talent, our ambition, and working in partnership to deliver value. But most importantly, it's about providing people with the opportunity to transform lives and the lives of their family. Many of you in here, of course, are still first-generation attendees of university, like me, and that's wonderful. And these are just some of the reasons why we've had a sequence of external recognition of not only what we do, but how we do it. In recent years, we've been featuring prominently in the Times Higher Education Awards, the sectoral Oscars, if you will. We're the only university in the UK to have won UK University of the Year twice. We've been recognised as the Entrepreneurial University of the Year, Sunday Times Scottish University of the Year just last year. In their new inaugural table, the Daily Mail had us as the UK University of the Year, and just runner-up to Imperial College's UK University of the Year, and many more beyonds. And just last week, we were pleased to see Strathclyde was the fastest and largest riser in the QS World Rankings here in the UK, demonstrating us sitting in that top quintile of performers across the research intensives. So, Strathclyde continues to demonstrate that we have disproportionate impact on society and the economy. As I say, principally through all of you. You're joining an army of almost 250,000 Strathclyders that we've graduated since we got our Royal Charter in 1964. And it's their undergraduates, postgraduates and the quality of our research that allows us to have effective ways to translate what we do to have value and impact. And we're a driver for sustainable economic growth. As Lord Brown mentioned so eloquently, the sector is facing lots of headwinds, but we have to show leadership and we have to show contribution. And that's just what this place does. In Scotland alone, the Scottish Government puts about £1.2 billion to higher education. In return, they get a tenfold increase in the economic impact that means for Scotland. So it's not an investment risk. It's something that if they put the money in there, they get the multipliers. And that's a tireless argument we must have. And of course, the achievements of this faculty and of course this department in particular fills me with great hope for the future, and I won't list these endlessly, but in mechanical and aerospace engineering, Scotland's first national drone network is a step closer following a pioneering project that your department and this faculty has led, aiming to revolutionise healthcare logistics. It's a project called CALIS. It's got live flight trials conducted across Scotland just last year, using drones to rapidly transport medical supplies and diagnostic samples. In electronic and electrical engineering, in partnership with the rest of the faculty, we had a private pop-up 5G network that we're now commercialising. We stepped in when the late Queen had passed away. Come the funeral, it was our technology that allowed us to connect the world's media to what was going on. And in more happier applications, it was us that provided the comms infrastructure for the footage of the beaming live footage of the coronation of King Charles III. And we've won, as a result, several industrial prizes and now moving not only in research, but to commercialise this for the benefit of our colleagues. And in architecture, architecture is a partner in a new initiative significantly reducing carbon emissions from high-density buildings. This is the Net Zero Centre for High-Density Buildings, testing new prototypes, which is a sticky part of achieving net zero. We must deploy more renewables, we must have a better use of energy, but we have to make sure our housing stock is of the very best. So I could tell you much more, but we'd be here late on into the evening. Just see this as the exciting context in which you should view your awards. You're now graduates of a university that places our students at the very heart of what we do. We value excellence in education and research, and we create a strong connection with both society locally, because we're proud to be a Glaswegian institution, but we're connected to the global community as well, and the business world. And the world's best universities internationalise. They contribute, collaborate and compete on the international stage, and we are no different. I've been doing a lot of travelling for the university over the past 6 months, and I've been with many of these partners that I'll tell you about. In North America, we work with Stanford, with MIT and with NYU. Just a month ago, I was at Peking and Tsinghua universities, where I hold honorary professorships, and we have deep relationships with them across the faculties, not least of which engineering, and with the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And in spite of the, for me, unwelcome challenges of Brexit, the soft power of universities to keep that connective tissue across Europe has been extremely important. And there are signs, helpfully, that we may start collaborating even further with a whole raft of institutions across Europe. And we've also created recently and opened and are driving a Middle East campus as it happens in Bahrain. And myself and the Dean of Engineering were rather preoccupied last weekend making sure our staff and students were safe, given all that was going around them and the security alerts. And thankfully we dealt with that with the values that this university has always shown, and we continue to operate happily in a place that's safe for our staff and students going forward. But of course, all of you are students. You've had the benefit of being part of an international university, helping you to emerge with the skills necessary for yourselves, because we want you to be successful, but also for Scotland and for whatever part of the world that you choose to go and ply your trade. And you've been exposed, never forget, to the richness and the value of different cultures and tradition. That's so important. And remember, as you're leaving here today, take forward your obligations as global citizens, and let's not be insular, as so many of the right wing tends to tip us towards these days. And with regard to socially progressive mission that I've mentioned already, we remain the leading Scottish research intensive to keep our doors wide open for widening participation in education. We admit about 1,300 young people from the two most challenged quintiles, particularly in the west of Scotland. There's a pejorative term called the Scottish Index of Multiple Deprivation, and I come from SIMD 0 to 20, proudly so, in Govan. I was never multiply deprived. I was loved, supported and encouraged, but I needed the means to get into Strathclyde, and we need to bear that in mind. And although we're graduating you today, my first graduation was about a month ago in what we call the Young Strathclyder programme. We're working with 20 schools in the immediate vicinity from what is called, again, unhelpfully, low attainment areas. Low attainment perhaps an outcome, but high attainment in terms of what the families are wanting these youngsters to do. So I graduated with the Vice Principal over 2 days, 500 youngsters aged from 5 to 12. Now that is a room full of energy, let me tell you. They were sitting here with their gowns and their mortarboards, a sight to behold, and as they came literally bounding across the stage, some of them skipping, I have to say, it was hard for me sometimes to cap them. And as my colleagues know, as I always say, I love that graduation ceremony because it's one of the few where I get to look tall occasionally. But they're in here with their mothers, their fathers, their grannies, their uncles, their teachers, and we're saying Strathclyde is a place for you. And whilst we have this widening access strategy, we have the joint 5th average entrance standards in the UK, not in Scotland, because we make this a strategic priority. We have contextual admissions, and we encourage these young people, get them in, keep them in, and then launch them into their careers. So let me conclude by referencing your institution, Strathclyde in 2025. I think it's clear that we're distinctive, we've got ambition, focus and momentum, and we do continue to work with the agility and commitment so necessary to absorb the uncertainties and the blows that we pick up from geopolitical tensions, policy impacts and the economic challenges. But we do it, we're over 200 years old, we've seen much worse. And remember that, you heard from Lord Brown, universities are a key part of the fabric of society and critical for success in tackling the world's biggest challenges. It's a great privilege for me to lead this great institution with the superb support I get from my executive team, as well as from our academics, our professional services and support staff. And I too believe if John Anderson were to be looking into this ceremony, he would recognise the realisation of what he sought to achieve during the Enlightenment, a place that's truly about useful learning. And to all of you in the Barony Hall, I'm certain that today's graduating class will be a vintage year. You've shown commitment, you've shown great application, and ultimately you're now successful. And hopefully, and I'm sure by the sound of mutual appreciation, you've had a lot of fun on the way, and that's quite right and proper. We're all very proud of you. So, remember now, please, that whatever you're going to do with your degree, and whatever you decide to pursue your career, truly useful learning means that you should apply your knowledge for the benefit of others. Try to make a positive impact for yourselves and the communities that you belong to. Don't leave them behind. Respect diversity, value freedom of expression and thought, and reach conclusions and resolve disputes through reason and tolerance. These represent the core values of your institution. So, let me turn to today's celebration. We're absolutely delighted for all of you that you've graduated today. I'd like to extend my sincere congratulations to each and every one of you and wish you every success in your future careers. Please do stay in touch with us and let us know about your progress. It's been a wonderful day. Please go forward now and enjoy the rest of this very special occasion. Thank you very much. I talked about advanced communications. We've just used less advanced communications. Sadly, from the back of the hall, it was the thumbs down, which means it's raining. Oh dear. Fiona, how badly is it raining? There's another bit of signal. So if you are brave enough, I would cordially invite you, once we close the ceremony, we shall, from the stage, process. The graduates, please join us. Families and friends join us. And for those of you that would like to brave the drizzle, I'm sure it'll be finished in a couple of minutes. There's a reception over at the Learning and Teaching Building. We'll get a chance to mingle with you, enjoy a refreshment. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed the ceremonies as much as we have. And just as we close, let's give everyone again a big round of applause. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will declare this congregation open and invite you to be upstanding. Thank you very much.